Welcome to another episode of What Day Is It? This is episode 7, I believe, and we actually have our first in-person guest here. It took a long time to figure out how to get 3 mics set up. This was a battle of trial and stipulation, and whole time I didn't have the right power button on.
A lot of curse words for one button.
It's been a long day, yada, yada, yada. And those for watching this on YouTube too, other than just listening, the camera is a little skewed right now because I did not appoint for my 16 millimeter camera lens and my cat's litter box being behind where the camera is. Normal people bullshit, I guess. But we appreciate you guys coming on in. Across the table from me, as always, the big, beautiful, sexy beast, Fluffy.
What up?
And on the other side, we have Collin Venn today. I'm actually kind of jealous. I'm the only person here without a beard. This is kind of fucked up. I mean, I got my Billy Ghost. I got pubes on my face. Let's be real. Like, I shave it off. It looks all right. But, happy hump day, everybody. We are happy to be back. Now, our beautiful guest over here today, he does fish charters and also hates the government. So we should be in for a long haul today.
Riveting.
Riveting. So why don't you tell everybody what you do and just a little bit about the job.
Yeah, well, basically, I'm first mate on Silver King Charters out of Milwaukee. I also am a fishing guide, so I do shore fishing, ice fishing, stuff like that. The job, I mean, fish, take people fishing.
Catch fish, baby.
Yeah, catch fish. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's kind of a love-hate thing.
And what kind of fish you go for?
Trout and salmon
Mostly.
on Lake Michigan. Yeah.
So mostly Michigan fishing.
Yeah, mostly Lake Michigan fishing. It's a 5th largest lake in the world, I think. So
Wow.
There's
Shout
a lot
out
of water
Michigan.
out there to catch fish in.
It's the second largest Great Lake.
Believe so.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Google would know.
Yeah.
Google would know. So how long you been doing this?
Been doing it for guiding for 17 years.
Holy
So
shit.
When I turned 18, got my guide's license and slowly started doing that. Chartering, I've been doing that for, I think this is my 14th season.
With
We're going into it this year.
with the same company?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I started the first 2 years. I was with a boat out of Kenosha. Shout out to Shane, Salmon Chasers.
Hey.
Hey.
But I've been with Silver King Charters out of Milwaukee for the last 13 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So I guess, what we want to get into a little more today about your job is the trial and error, the stipulations, the shit you have to follow, all the bullshit.
All the
you know?
bullshit.
And you got to just have some absolute terrible stories. So, before I get into asking you, about the rules, laws, legislations, whatever the fuck, off the top of your head, do you have like the worst customer that you've ever experienced on the charter? I know you've had to have some annoying people on
off
the
the
boat.
top, yeah. I could think of one lady in particular. It was her and a dude. It was her boyfriend. I want to say it was their first date. They booked a charter. It was
an expensive date for
right,
first date.
right. It was a midday trip. They showed up. The lady was already gone. I mean, she wasn't
Fucked
there.
up.
Yeah, she was. She was drunk, but you could also tell she had, dabbled in some other things.
Sure.
And it was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Right away, I knew. And we get out there, we start fishing. Of course, the wind's blowing. It was like 30 miles an hour out of the west. We're fishing. Luckily, the water was cold, so we were just right outside the break wall in the harbor. And start fishing, and she kept insisting, I want to go for a swim. I'm like, we're not swimming. We don't swim on this boat. No one's going in the water. Rule number 1, don't go in the water.
Yeah. They have to be saved.
30 mile an hour winds in front of the harbor mouth. There's extreme current. The water, it might be 80 degrees. I think it was in July or something. It was midsummer. But the water's 48 degrees. It's ice cold. It's not a place to go swimming. You want to go swimming, there's a beach, right up the road from the boat slip. And she kept insisting on it. And then the captain's telling her like, no, like, look, we're not swimming. And finally she gives up that fight. She's like, I'm going to go take a nap. She goes down in the cabin, goes to sleep. And we're like, Thank God. Yeah. And the guy's just sitting there kind of like with this look on his face, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of this. And about an hour goes by. We catch a couple of fish. She pops back out of the cabin and just, we're done. This trip's done. And me and the captain look at each other and we're like, absolutely. Yep. Start reeling them in. We start reeling the lines in, brought them back to shore, and that was it. But it was just like dealing with something like that where she kept insisting. She's like, I'm going swimming, and arguing with the captain. And it got to the point before she took the nap, the captain's like, look, if you don't stop asking me that, like, we're done. Like, I'm taking you back to shore.
I don't think you're
worrying me.
You can't even swim there. Like, that's illegal. Like, you can't swim in the harbor. You guys were right outside.
I mean, you're out in the lake. I mean, you could swim.
It doesn't seem like a good idea.
No. 48-degree water with outside the main gap in Milwaukee.
Like,
with the wind, there's 3 to 4 foot waves that were 3 to 4 feet apart. Heavy current. I mean, you go in that water in those kind of conditions, you're
dead.
Pretty much a goner. I mean, your chances of survival aren't that great. Sure.
That's why it's the deadliest lake.
Is it? Lake Michigan?
Deadliest of the Great Lakes. Yeah.
Most shipwrecks and kills the most people. I mean, there's probably...
Is this bad luck, or is there a reason behind this?
It's because it's so long north and south and narrower. I mean, I think it's like just under 100 miles east and west at its widest. But the fetch north and south is so long, the way the waves and the currents set up, it creates some wicked waves.
Interesting. I never thought about it.
You get a northeast wind out there, it's game over around here.
See, I don't know shit about the waters. That's why you're here.
Right.
I know Fluffy catches his fish every blue moon.
Once in a while. Thanks to this guy.
Right? Yeah, he pays him. Fluffy doesn't really fish. He pays this guy. No, I'm just playing.
Catch the fish, I'll pose with it.
Right.
Actually, just over this last winter, Fluffy took me to catch my first fish. We went ice fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Up, I don't even know where the fuck
I forget where it was.
Bumfuck nowhere.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
It was cool, but... God, it was cold. I ended up getting really pissed at him for no reason. It wasn't even...
That's when we had the reindeer pull us off.
Yeah.
So we had a reindeer pull us off with an ice sled coming off.
Super cool in my opinion.
Cool.
Yeah. I was like,
it's pretty cool. Shout out Jelaine and the reindeer.
That was awesome. And we get back to the truck, and Shane starts dragging the sled on the rocks, and it's loaded down. I'm like, Shane, stop dragging it on the rocks, dude. Just go get the fucking truck. He's like, I'm fucking cold. I'm like, I know. Go get the fucking truck.
Dude,
And he was, his hands were like shaking. He was so cold, dude.
They were fucking so red, dude.
It was bad.
I fucked up. And, 'cause that night, or that day, I drove about another hour up north to go to a zoo. So when I got down to the shanty, I didn't change into like any of my gear. I brought
I think you had a coat.
I had my like normal coat on and I did have Under Armour on under my jeans, but like what the fuck, dude? I brought a whole bunch of fucking clothes and I just didn't put them on. Yeah. And the whole time we were in there, I mean, I was cold, but like, dude, it was when the sun started going down. It was over instantly.
Because we did the shanty last, obviously, and it went down pretty quick, but like just the walk back, just because we were dealing with a reindeer.
Right.
And I don't know if we could have went much faster without the reindeer, but
I don't think so.
No, it was like, but at one point during the trip when he wasn't there, I had to take off my shirt, my hoodies, my coat, everything in the shanty to dry it off. So I have my shirts hanging over the heater and blowing in the wind, and like just me sitting on my chair just freezing my ass off because everything got soaked.
What he's not telling you,
I
got there, he was naked. And
I was still.
He had his dick in the hole using it as bait.
That's a sight to see.
It looked just like a worm.
It didn't work though. I don't know why. Too high up.
You gotta what was that machine with the magnet or whatever that goes up and down in the water to find the fish?
Oh,
the Vexlar?
Yeah, Vexlar.
Yeah, because you didn't have that on your wiener.
That could have been. Just dangle that down.
Right.
So as far as your job goes, you do this day by day. I would assume if I ask you this, you could answer. Are there any dumb rules that you have to follow while you're doing this? Not any ones that make sense for safety, but anything absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't really care if I get in trouble for saying this, but DNR, you kind of need to get your shit together for
here we go.
cleaning fish on the lake.
Okay.
We're technically not allowed to dispose of carcasses of fish in the water.
Really?
But they die there naturally.
Correct. So,
and it's food.
If there's a problem with the carcass, now I understand there could be a problem if we're skinning the fish, which we're also not allowed to do. If we do skin the fish, we're supposed to leave I forget what the size. I think there's a size patch of skin so they can identify the species of fish. Makes sense. But if we're not allowed to dump carcasses in the lake for whatever imaginary reasons, why isn't there boats out there vacuuming up, like you said, the dead fish that die naturally there? It doesn't make sense.
No.
So what do you do when you finish the fish? You skin them. Like, do you just have a garbage can on the boat, or?
Yeah, some boats do, and then then pile them into dumpsters. There's a fish cleaning station at most marinas. Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee, Port.
Huge grinders.
Yeah, they have fish grinders. So now you're bringing these carcasses back and throwing them in a garbage disposal. Where in a lake like Lake Michigan, which is in my mind, I'm no biologist, but it's been lacking in nutrients. Because of the zebra mussel and quagga mussels, wouldn't the fish carcasses essentially be nutrients back to the lake? Is what I would think. So now you're bringing manpower and fuel and electricity and all this other stuff into the garbage disposals, and where is it going? Now it's going back to the water treatment plant and getting flushed back into the lake once they treat it. I don't see where dumping carcasses is a problem.
Right.
Other than, I know in the past, people have gone back to the slip in the marina and cleaned 30 salmon and threw the carcasses over the side, and then some of the carcasses float back up. You have a lot of different people in the marina that aren't fishermen, sailboaters, and all kinds of very
uppity motherfuckers,
unique and special individuals in the marina. It gathers a lot of different people, but when those are all floating up and they have dead carcasses floating by their boat and it stinks, 1000% agree with that.
Yeah,
but dumping them out in the lake, you'll never see them again. If you would have hooked that fish and lost it at the back of the boat and it died,
right,
it was ending up there anyway, and no one was eating the meat off of it. No one was putting that to use other than the organisms and things in the lake. So
you need
that doesn't make sense
right now,
to me.
yeah.
Sure.
That's something that needs to be.
Well, it's not like you're you're not disrupting anything. That's how it would be naturally. 100%. And like Fluffy said, that the bigger fish gonna eat the smaller fish.
Always.
Right.
So
right.
And the smaller fish need something to eat. They got nothing to eat right now.
Right. So the smaller fish could eat the chunks off the bigger fish if you skin and throw it back in, right?
Absolutely. And we've caught fish with like rib fillets and stuff, where when we rib them, toss the ribs back in the water and go back out for a second trip that afternoon in the same stretch of lake.
Sure.
And they're spitting up those chunks, so they're eating them.
No, so this is rules you follow for your job. If you're a normal fisherman, you just like Fluffy, you have your fishing license. You go out on the dock or whatever and catch a fish. Is that the same rule for you, just as a normal
100%.
fisherman?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Now, is that something that people that with just a fishing license even know? Like, does anybody read the rules and regs?
You're supposed to.
Did you?
You're supposed to.
Most of them.
Yeah, I mean, when I got my hunting permits and shit, I just fucking scrolled. Yep, accept, send it in. Like, I mean, I went to a hunter's safety, but how much attention do you really think I paid there? I paid attention to the gun safety.
Yeah,
but like,
I mean.
Right. I didn't like. It's like playing a video game for the first time. I accept. I acknowledge seizures.
Just
what the fuck ever.
give me the
like,
gun.
Let's go.
Right,
Like,
Give me the fucking gun.
like all I know is you put the bait on the thing. You throw your line in and you catch fish. Like
Right.
It's that easy. It really is.
It's nature's garbage disposal. So why wouldn't
Right.
you just throw it the fuck back in?
I would think for most shore fishermen too, though, like I said, there's fish cleaning stations. There's 2 in Racine.
Yep.
There's one,
one
at the end of
downtown.
4th Street.
But
and
they're
there's
not always
one at the
open
end
either
of-
during the seasons.
They close them down. I mean,
Yeah.
they have to for weather.
Oh, I get it. But then
they make it pretty easy, like for shore fishermen. But like for us, it's a pain. Now instead of just cleaning the fish as we go, dumping the carcasses, instead you're bringing the carcasses back, and you have to dispose of them while we're trying to get these morning customers off the boat, get the next customers on, and still have time in our day. It's time consuming, it's effort. You get 25, 30 salmon in a cooler. It's not light. Right. They're not small fish.
I've never caught that many,
typically.
but that's not light.
Trying to, say you were going to bring that cooler full of fish up to the cleaning station and clean them,
Nightmare.
Now you're lifting a 300-pound cooler, 200-pound cooler out of the boat, lifting it into a dock cart, dragging it 100 yards to the cleaning station, spending the time up at the cleaning station. It's
Pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass. It doesn't make sense.
He's strong from it, though.
I bet, man.
I have a lot of back problems.
Me too, man. I'm getting there. I'm catching up to you guys.
Right.
So, as you've been chartering, I mean, my favorite thing you've said so far is bringing up DNR problems. Is there anything else off the top of your head that you can think of that they're doing wrong? Because that's my favorite thing. The government fucking shit up.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff they're not doing the way they probably should. I mean, I kind of disagree, I guess, a little bit in what they're doing with the stocking of the lake,
Okay.
which is essentially the lifeline to the lake. Mm-hmm. There's little to no natural reproduction on this side of the lake that's documented. Mm-hmm. So stocking provides all of the fishing. The lakes dealt with zebra and quagga mussels for, I think the first zebra mussel was found in Lake St. Clair in 88 or 87, and it's pretty much exploded from there, where it's in all the Great Lakes. It's in probably a majority of any inland lakes or anything within 100 miles of the Great Lakes.
It's incredibly invasive.
Right, yeah. And they're filter feeders, so they filter out the zooplankton and phytoplankton, so they're competing for the same food source that any native species of fish, when they're just born, is gonna seek to eat. So we had problems that they were scared Lake Michigan was gonna crash. It got real close to crashing because the zebra and quagga mussels outcompeted the forage base for food. So the forage died. If the little fish die, the big fish die.
What happened in Superior, right?
Huron crashed.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And it created an excellent year or two of fishing for us because Lake Huron and Lake Michigan are sister lakes. They're connected.
Yeah.
So all the king salmon from Huron swam down here and were starving to death, essentially. And we got to just pillage on them for a while, but it was bittersweet. The fishing is great, but you could see disaster in the horizon where it was like, this is going to come to a crashing halt very soon if something isn't done.
Well, that's what happened to the lampreys too, right? Like they were destroying fisheries and shit.
Yeah, the lampreys did a number on the lake trout population, which are native
and whitefish too, right?
To the Great Lakes, right?
So what's the solution towards the mussels?
Nature, and I think we've kind of started to plateau on that from what I've seen. Like I said, I'm no biologist. I just spend every day out there, and I guess I have opinions.
You've been out there for a long time.
Yeah, he sees more than most people.
I can't say solid facts, but basically
what you see, though. That's
what I see every day. I don't read it in a book. I see it every day. And they tried to reduce the stocking for a while, which I saw help. We had a rebound in the alewife population because there's less predation on them and everything. And then in the last couple of years, they've started to increase the stocking, which I think, in my opinion, may have been a couple of years too soon. Because from 2020 to kind of to last year, so in the last 4 years, the alewife population boomed, and we were always marking bait, huge clouds of bait. You'd see alewives everywhere. The fish would be full of food. And last year we didn't see that as much, and we're dealing with, they started increasing. I think 3 or 4 years ago they slowly started increasing again, and now they're at a higher number than they were 5 years ago. Well, I don't know the exact numbers, but now we're seeing higher catch rates, smaller fish, which is, for me, it's good. We can catch limits of fish, and I can get done with work sooner.
That's true.
But the allure of catching a 30-pound salmon is kind of fading quickly.
Sure.
Because of that. Where 4 or 5 years ago, we might catch 6 to 10 king salmon on a good day, but the probability of us seeing a 25-pound plus fish was extremely higher, which was fun to me. I like big fish.
Oh yeah, everybody does, right?
Right.
That's what I was gonna ask. Since you've started to now, how big the number difference is. Like, would you say that from when you started to now the numbers are kind of similar, or was it, did it plummet in the middle of your career? Like, where are we at with the numbers of fish catch and the weight?
It's kind of fluctuated, really. And a lot of it, I mean, you're dealing with nature, so they dump these fish in, and it's up to them to survive.
How often
and return?
How often do they stock?
I think once in the spring, and I think they do some fish in the fall as well.
And I'm assuming these fish just come from fish farms?
For hatcheries, yeah.
So they take them from the fishery from Lincoln Park.
Yep.
Like
so
a place in Racine, and then they take them to a farm.
There's the steelhead facility in Racine. There's also a weir in Kewanee, and there's a weir in Strawberry Creek in Door County. So that's where when the fish return, the salmon run up the river to spawn. They have kind of a small dam, and then they can raise the dam up and divert the fish into a fish ladder, and they essentially go into like a holding tank, and they can collect the fish there, and then they take the eggs and the milk from the fish and bring them back to the hatchery, spawn them, raise them for a year or whatever it takes, and then they put them back in the lake.
Do they like load them up in a truck and dump them in, or do they just kind of reverse the way they came in? So it sounds like they swam up on their own and ended up in this facility.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So do they just like open a gate backwards and push them out, or when they're ready to get them back in?
So a lot of them. So I mean, when they take like the eggs and the milk from them.
How do I say this? The fish end up in the facility. When they're done with them, how do they get them back into the lake?
A lot of them, like the salmon, they take them to the hatchery. They take all the eggs and the milk, which is the sperm.
I see. Okay.
And like salmon, when they spawn, they die.
Sure.
So the king salmon live for 4 years. They run up the river, spawn, and die.
Okay.
So they take those fish to the hatcheries, milk them, and then I don't know what they do with them. Yeah. I think they might milk them and take stuff from them at the facilities and then release them back upstream, which inevitably they're just going to die.
Sure.
Which is healthy for the rivers.
Yeah.
Like in Alaska, I know I've seen that they when they do that with a lot of them, where the rivers that don't get prolific salmon runs anymore, they'll actually take salmon from hatcheries and stuff that they've processed that way, and they dump them into the river so they can die, so the bears can eat, so all the microorganisms, all the other fish in the rivers can have that food source, because it's a major food source, like especially on the West Coast.
Sure.
Here it's a created fishery, so it's not as important. These rivers didn't need those salmon carcasses for the animals to survive, the other fish and everything.
Sure.
But there's always been lake trout, though.
Right.
So lake trout still go upstream to spawn, no?
No, they spawn. Sometimes we'll get pushes. We've had a few years where we get pushes of lake trout up the river in high water years.
Okay.
But it's not something they normally do. They
So
spawn on the reefs out in the lake.
Oh, so like by Racine Reef, by the...
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then what about whitefish, too? Because that's another native fish.
Yep. They spawn out in the lake, too.
Same thing. So
Yep.
we release these fish into the waterways for sport, and because they also eat lampreys, I thought, too, right? I think that's one reason why the salmon got introduced, no?
No, not the lampreys. The salmon got introduced because at one point Lake Michigan, the biodiversity of the lake, I think it was some crazy percentage, like 70 to 90% of the biodiversity in Lake Michigan was alewives, which was an invasive
That's
species.
insane.
Right.
That's
So I mean, basically the whole lake was alewives. Every fish in the lake was an alewife,
little,
which are little
tiny
silver shad-like fish. They come from the Atlantic Ocean. They got into the Great Lakes when they opened the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Okay.
And basically exposed the Great Lakes, which have been secluded to everything in the world since the Ice Age when they were created or whatever, to everything.
Sure.
That's what was in the documentary. Yep, because the salmon eat the alewives.
Yep.
So in the documentary I watched, this much was about the alewives.
None of it.
Barely any. It was like, oh yeah, that's cool. What about the smelt too? Like whatever.
Smelt, I believe, were also invasive. They came from the opening of the St. Lawrence Seaway.
And what happened? Why did they die off so much? Because you used to be able to catch garbage cans of them.
Zebra and quagga mussels.
That's what destroyed them.
And I think...
It sounds like these mussels are just wreaking havoc
Oh,
on
yeah.
the fucking lakes.
So the Lake Michigan in... probably when I was a baby still, but shortly, late 80s, early 80s, started to change where, like, you could go to the shores of the lake. It wasn't clear. It was clean, but it wasn't the clear water where you could see the bottom in 40 feet that we all know it is now. It had a green tint to it, which was high in phytoplankton, zooplankton. It was very nutrient rich, which was good for every fish species, living thing in the lake. It was high in nutrients, and the zebra mussels and quagga mussels have filtered almost all of that out, and it's starting, like I said, they've started to eat themselves out of house and home over the last 30 years to where or 40 years.
So do you think, how long in the future until something happens like a crash, like you said?
I mean, there's a lot of different people now. When it happened to Lake Huron, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes.
Sure.
And people started to look at it more and kind of try to regulate it more and make sure that doesn't happen.
Sure.
Because as small of a niche as our industry is, makes a lot of money. And people don't like to lose a lot of money. You're gonna lose a lot of tourism for not just Racine, Milwaukee area, our little area. You're gonna lose a lot of business around the lake, hotels, gas stations, restaurants.
Oh yeah.
And this fishing you can't do anywhere else, like you can't go. This is like some of the only fishing you can do in the country, right? Is right here.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to catch salmon, I would argue to say that this is the best salmon fishing in the world. The West Coast, where they're native and natural, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, it's still good, but that fishery is in dire straits right now.
Sure.
There's a lot going on over there that I don't know enough about to go into detail on, but I know they're struggling over there.
You said West Coast, they're already screwing that up. So.
right.
Nothing on the West Coast.
California used to have Northern California, tremendous steelhead run, cohos, and king salmon. And, if you catch a steelhead in one of those rivers, you caught a unicorn.
That's crazy. And they used to just exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, couple minutes ago, you had mentioned dams. When I had seen you the other day, and Fluffy got you started about something.
Here
about
we
dams.
go.
What were we
Buckle
talking
up.
about? I don't even remember what the conversation was.
They're talking about. They've been talking about it, I think, for 14 or 15 years now. The removal of the Root River Dam.
Okay. Where's the closest access point, to the Root River here for us, and then where's the dam?
I mean, the Root River for you is right down the road.
Okay.
Stone throw away.
Yeah.
Is there
half a mile away?
Is there a big Root River communal fishing spot here in Racine?
Below the dam.
Okay, so right down here.
Below the
uses it?
dam, yeah.
Sure.
Well, you got 5 Mile right there too. So
Okay.
that's like the only public area where Old World Racine is.
Yeah,
You know.
I know where that is. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean,
I
really,
see people fish there from time to
Oh,
time.
yeah.
right down the road from you is
Sure.
one of the only public access to the what I would call the upper root, above where the dam is.
Which is bullshit, by the way.
But I mean, everybody wants a house on the water. I mean,
So let's.
They can share.
Me too. So what's your banter? Why do we keep it? Why do they want to get rid of it? How is it going to affect things? What's good, the bad?
so I mean, after I ranted the other day about it, I went home and did a little more research. I'm all for keeping the dam. I don't know. They said it was cheaper to tear it down than to repair it. The dam has been there for 100 years. And you get all these people. I'm all for tearing dams down. I mean, dams all over the world are destroying fisheries, and they're not good. They impede a lot of different things. Our dam, I don't feel is that important, but when you get politics and city officials and people with money and they hear cheaper, it sounds better, and then you get...
Which is wild because my taxes just went up again this year.
Right.
That's wild.
And then you get people that love nature, power to them, but they don't know a whole lot about it other than going for a walk in a park or something.
In that video, you said that lady said walleyes are going to come up.
Yeah, so they had like a public meeting about tearing the dam down. People can express their opinions and this and that. And I watched a little bit of it, and I had to turn it off. The lady on there was talking about tearing the dam down would be great for all the native species. The walleyes could run up the river and spawn. There's no walleye within 50 miles, 100 miles of here.
Sure.
So maybe 120 years ago there was walleye in the Root River. Mm-hmm. They're not here anymore, and they're not going to come back.
Was this woman a civilian, or was she part of something?
She was part of something, I'm sure.
Some government bureaucratic
board.
bullshit.
That's what I'm looking
Board
for, yeah.
director or whatever. I don't know exactly, but it was kind of, it's like the whole, they wanted to, those same type of people, big, probably the same PETA people and shit you got to deal with, where they're passionate.
Sure.
But they're not fully educated on everything. They want to return Lake Michigan back to its natural state. Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to return Lake Michigan back to its natural state, let's shut the shipping down, close the St. Lawrence Seaway, close the Chicago River, and seal it back off to its natural state. We'll also stop stocking salmon, and that's just me going to the extreme, which I do a lot.
The government does too.
Right. Taking things from 0 to 100. But, the Root River, the dam, I fish above the dam a lot. I enjoy it. It's what I do in my spare time. It's great. I love it. There's not a lot of people that use it.
Oh, you got a nice launch above the dam too.
Right.
It's a nice area.
Right.
For the people, like you said, that just take walks in the park, can you tell them a little bit about the purpose of a dam in the first place?
Well, I guess I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of different purposes.
Power.
Yeah. The purpose of the dam here in Racine was an old mill.
Okay.
So for milling purposes,
Sure.
I think it was It's over 100 years old. So whatever they did with it back then.
Where the hotel sits now? Is that where the mill was?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
I never knew that.
The new hotel?
No.
Talking?
Days in. That's
The one next to the dam.
yeah.
The hood rat one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bad one. The crackhead one.
There's only like a handful of hotels that we're seeing.
And you don't want to go there.
I've never.
I would say half of them you probably don't want to stay at, and which I have customers come in from out of town all the time, and they're like, "Well, where can we stay?" And I'm like, "Well, don't stay at the dam or at the hotel by the dam. Don't stay at the Viking Inn."
But you have a couple on the freeway now that are okay on 20.
I think the only one I'd stay in is the new one with the rooftop bar.
The down
Verde or something.
Yeah, that rooftop bar is pretty nice too.
I haven't been. You keep telling me.
I know. We were supposed to go last time, but
it was cold.
My sister said it was super nice.
They got fire pits up there, and that's nice. But you can overlook the lake.
They grow their own mint for like their mojitos and stuff.
Really?
They got little planters.
Oh, so you know it's expensive,
right? Oh yeah.
It wasn't terrible when I went. It was good.
No, I'll have to check it out once.
Yeah,
it gets
one of these days we will.
You're right.
But I want to bring up another thing too that. So you're saying that the fish came all the way from Huron. They're escaping the death from Huron to come to here. So like in a day, how far can a salmon swim? Like
pretty far.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it where we've gone from catching limits of salmon, a few miles offshore here. The wind switches, and overnight, the next day, I see pictures on Facebook and social media. They're catching them, 90 miles across the lake.
Yeah. So that's
overnight.
Schools of them just 60 miles plus, right?
Yeah.
So about how many guesstimated salmon are we going to have in a school here?
It just depends.
Depends on the salmon species too,
they'll
right?
gather in schools of whatever, and they'll be kind of broken up, and if we get the right water temp and the food is over here, we'll get a majority of the lake salmon will gather on whatever shoreline has those conditions.
Sure.
Like you get at a school in Coho, though, you can't keep your lines in the water. Like that's
right.
how, like the schools are that crazy out there sometimes.
Yeah, that fishing's coming up. We're starting to get some Cohos now, and another
going Thursday.
Another couple of weeks here. That big push will be in.
What's that?
Cook me some fish.
I want to smoke some more. I'll smoke some Coho.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It's always good.
So what's the worst part of your job?
People.
Yeah. And let me just point this out. Cleaning fish, I hate cleaning fish. I love eating it.
It's my favorite part.
This guy just said people. So it's the same with us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather pick up shit than deal with people.
There's so many variables in fishing, dealing with Mother Nature, the weather, the fish themselves. There's so many more variables dealing with people and their expectations.
People do fucking suck. What is the limit on your tour? How many fish can you catch?
5 per person.
And then are you allowed to pay more to catch more?
Nope.
No, it
Once we're done,
that's
we're done.
DNR.
Yeah.
That's DNR regs.
Yep.
Why is I guess it's like hunting. Then you're allowed to kill X amount of deer.
Which I agree with. I think 5 fish a person per day, and then you can have a limit of 3 in your freezer, 3 days.
5 is your possession, and 5 is your daily.
There's no
So if you have, say, I caught 5 salmon, cleaned them, brought them home, put them in my freezer, and I went out the next day. I caught 5 salmon, cleaned them, brought them home, put them in my freezer. Technically, I couldn't go out the next day and catch 5 more.
Really?
Because I have 10 in my possession.
Sure.
But
so it's 10 in possession, but 5 per day. See, I thought it was 15 in possession. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Is that same with like panfish too then?
I would assume so.
25 for the limit, and then
15 or 25. I mean, the panfish limit, that's a whole nother thing.
That's let's not get into that. That's
those poor little bluegills.
I love them so much though.
You're out there all the time. You're catching far more fish than, the average guy with a pole down by the lake. Do you ever reel in fish that just look like fucked up, man? Or
all the time.
They grew a 3rd leg or
injuries from getting off the hook, half a jaw or something from people losing them.
So what do you throw them back or you take them?
No, I take them.
Sure.
As long as they're healthy. There was
VHS was around for a while. Is that still a thing?
I'm sure it is. I don't think it's that prevalent.
Okay, that's good.
There was, I want to say it was 7-ish years ago, we had a problem with these mites. They're copepods. So they look like, basically like they got two little fingers, two little dingers hanging off them. They're real small, and they would attach to the fish.
Really? It's like a parasite.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we started catching. I started to notice them on lake trout, and I mentioned to a few different captains and stuff down there. I'm like, "Hey, you guys seeing this?" And they're like, "No, I haven't noticed that." And I'm like, "Well, we're starting to see them. I'm starting to see them on almost every lake trout we're catching."
Wow.
And then you would start catching them, and they got red little sores on them, bumps on them. It was essentially like ticks for us.
Yeah.
But these fish would be covered in them, and after like a season of that where it got pretty bad, I don't think it was killing the fish, but who wants to be covered in mites?
Yeah.
Do you want fleas biting all over you all day? It's not comfortable. And I think the next season, I was bringing some fish up at the end of the trip, bringing some fillets up for the customers, and biologist stopped me, and she was like, "Hey, have you been seeing these copepods on fish?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I got a bag of lake trout fillets right here. There's one right here, on the fillet."
You should not eat that.
Right?
He's like, "Fuck the customers."
That's cancer.
Right. But and she was like, "Okay, how often do you see that?" And I'm like, "Every single lake trout we catch. I've seen it on brown trout. I've seen it on some steelhead. I've seen it on some cohos. Never on king salmon." And then eventually, like, that went on for like 2 or 3 years, and then we don't really see that anymore. So I don't know what was all about that, but that was kind of an interesting thing to see on the fish.
Do you know off the top of your head if like anybody ever got like ill from eating one or anything?
I don't think so. No. I think it just looks gross.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that. It sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I would definitely throw the fish away.
Oh yeah.
Right. And that was kind of the thing, when we're catching these limited lake trout and stuff, and it'd be like, kind of look at the captain and be like, "Hey, look at this one, it's covered." And he's like, "Shut the fuck up."
But it's so cool. Look at it.
Like, this is to me, it's interesting to see. I want to know more about it. Is it affecting the fish? Is something bigger going on that we can is this...
Well, you're the front lines, you
Right.
you see this shit daily, like.
Right. And I said,
I never knew about that.
I tried to tell people about it, and people, I'm like, "Yeah, there's these little things," and I did my own research and Googled and whatever, and found out that's what they were, and started telling other people and giving them the small bit of knowledge that I knew about them, and then everybody started seeing them.
Interesting.
Now, I got a question for you, too. Have you ever pulled up... I know I'm on lampreys because I'm obsessed with them right now. Because I hate them.
He talks about them all the fucking time.
They're super cool. I love
He
them.
loves them. I hate them. Have you ever pulled up a lake trout with a lamprey?
All the time.
And have you ever pulled up any other species of fish with a lamprey?
All 5 trout and salmon species, yeah.
Wow, that blows my mind.
Yeah. We'll get little cohos this big.
You suck.
That's all. I don't catch fish.
We'll get little cohos, a 2-3 pound coho with a lamprey almost the same length as them on
That's
the side.
wild. So lampreys came from the ocean, right? I already told you this.
Yeah. From the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah,
well,
they got teeth. And
they look more vicious.
They're a huge leech, bro.
They're a huge
people don't
leech.
like leeches.
They're edible also.
We gotta try them. Next time you get one, try one.
The Native Americans on the West Coast, that was a significant food source for them.
Really?
And also in England, that was...
Oh, it was a delicacy, right?
That was like a delicacy for the rich. I think, don't quote me on this, but like King Henry the whatever, or King Charles
so many,
whatever.
He died.
Yeah, lamprey pie is a big thing in England.
Lamprey? What the fuck does that look like? It's not put together like a pie, is it?
I think it's like a chicken pot pie.
Ew, dude, it's like a meatloaf with fish.
Yeah.
Ew.
Chicken pot pie with not fish, eel, and think about it. It looks like a big leech.
Right.
Like they attach to whales. That's fine. Like it still sucks for the whale. We're attaching these fucking eels onto fish the same size. Like that just don't work out.
Essentially, for the salmon and the lake trout, essentially just if you eat, say you eat 3 meals a day, that lamprey's eating those 3 meals that you would normally get the nutrients from is going straight to the lamprey. It's
Yeah.
sucking the life out of you. So
Interesting.
Just totally fucking it up.
There's a whole bunch of shit just fucking up the water.
right.
It really
But
is.
There's also 4 native species of lamprey to Lake Michigan that they don't get much bigger than I think like 10 or 12 inches.
Which is still
pretty
big.
small.
That's still pretty big.
But they're native, and I think I want to say maybe all 4 of them, or 3 out of the 4 aren't parasitic.
Okay.
So they don't attach themselves to other living things.
What do
to
they eat
survive.
then?
No idea.
Oh, okay. That's You're pretty knowledgeable, so I was like, let's keep going.
Right.
Pushing it.
He's like, fuck if I know. I don't give a shit.
Algae, I don't know. But I always say I want to eat one of the sea lamprey.
Well, pick one up. We'll try it. We'll try smoking it.
I've
Screw it.
seen,
Throw it on
when
the Blackstone.
I seen the
Blackstone time.
on the West Coast, and they take them and they split them open, they put them on a stick over a fire, and cook them that way. And I mean,
You try
it
it.
looked like something I would try at least once. They didn't
We
look
made
bad.
shark and it was horrible. So
That shit was
Shark
fucking
is-
awful.
My favorite fish to eat
Shut the
is
fuck
shark.
up, dude. This motherfucker. All right, so I got some. I got some friends down in Texas,
oh,
Sherry and Terry. I know them because they run a mom and pop soda trailer at the Racine County Fair. And I'm doing the camel rides. I always drink their soda when I'm doing the fair or whatever. And the last years I've gotten to know them because we're gonna hear every bit of that fucking pour, Fluffy. This motherfucker is over here pouring his beer on camera, man.
there ain't nothing's on camera.
I love this man,
Nothing's
but
going on.
he is at the same time the
There's
worst
nothing
host
on
I could have
camera.
ever fucking.
There's
Well, it's on audio.
It's water, bro. I'm trying to drink some water, man.
Just trying to stay
damn it.
hydrated.
I don't care what it is, we
Trying
can
to
hear
stay
it.
hydrated.
But
You didn't hear nothing.
you're a bitch. So anyway, I've gotten to know these people the last X amount of years, whatever, and they do the tour. You're a motherfucker, dude.
Sorry. Anyways, on tour.
They do this tour with all the county fairs across the country. Not all of them, obviously, but they
Right.
stop here, what the fuck ever. And then, so they work, half of the year doing the county fairs, and they go home back to Texas. And Terry, the husband, he just catches sharks the whole season.
yeah.
And I'm friends with these guys on Facebook literally every day. He's like, catch 1, catch 2, catch 3, catch 4. Dude, it's just left and right sharks. And he's like, yeah, man, it's delicious. You can fry it just like a steak, blah, 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 blah. I'll bring you up one. He brought us a 5-pound chunk of shark.
Dude, huge.
It was fucking massive. So I'm like, we got to cook this thing. We got to eat this thing. It's going to be fucking delicious. Like, I'm ready. I like fish. I like fried fish more, but like, fuck it. I like fish. And Fluffy's got this whole idea of it in his head and how to cook it and this and this. So the motherfucker, we go to the store and we get a food grade 5-gallon bucket and we got it soaking in milk, dude. I
was
remember
told
why.
to smoke.
That might have
soak
been
it.
your problem there. I mean,
I was told to soak it in milk to get all the shit out.
nah.
Ah, here we go.
So look, man, we soaked it for a day. Came back. We let it thaw
wasn't
for
a whole
like 4
day.
days.
yeah,
and
it
then-
thawed for 4 days.
And we let it soak in the milk for quite a while. I took all the shelves out of my fridge so the 5-gallon bucket would fit in the fridge. With the shark
It
in
was impressive.
And so then we sliced it up. We were getting ready to cook it. Dude, we cooked this thing 95 ways from China. We did barbecue,
Every
teriyaki,
seasoning, teriyaki.
lemon pepper, adobo. Like, you name it, we cooked it with it. And it was terrible every single time.
It was just steaks. It was small steaks, and we just
But
Yeah,
no,
I gotta change your opinion on that
Dude.
because it's
please do.
it's
Please.
literally some of the best, if not the best fish.
It
I've
was
ever
so goddamn funny though, because Fluffy here, he's trying to convince himself that he likes it. We start this first one, he's like, it's not that bad, and then we try the next one, we go on the lemon pepper. He's like, it's okay.
and I don't like lemon pepper.
And then we go over to the teriyaki or whatever, and he's like, it's okay. And we finally get to the 4th one or whatever. He's like, you know what? This is just fucking bad.
because he's over there like, this sucks. I'm like, it's not bad.
No, it sucks.
And then by the 4th one, I'm like, he's fucking right, dude. It sucks.
Even I wonder if
I wanted to love it.
Me too.
Grappies in Milwaukee. It's a little corner market.
Mm-hmm.
They got like a little hot food section, little grocery store, kind of yuppie grocery store. Great paninis, if you're ever in the area.
The paninis.
I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but
Shout out.
Grappies is a great spot. They used to have on, I think it was Fridays, they would have deep fried shark. And,
See, I could fuck with that.
So I would say because I've had it fresh. I've caught the shark, cleaned it, threw it on the grill, or fried it straight from the ocean within an hour or whatever. It's way better. But for being this far away from the ocean, their deep fried shark was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, but
I wish we would have deep fried it. We didn't have any flour or nothing.
Yeah, we could have probably threw something in together, but we didn't think about it. We're like, we're just gonna do steaks. That's how it does it online. I read 1,000 things online. This is how you cook shark. Okay, simple.
I've always described it to people when I've had deep fried shark. If you dip it in tartar sauce, it's like a fish stick. If you dip it in ketchup, you think you're eating a chicken nugget. I mean, it's essentially it sounds kind of gross when I describe it, but
I love ketchup.
It's a
yeah.
soft chicken. It's a fish textured chicken is
Yeah,
basically how the best way I could describe it as taste and everything.
You like gator?
I do.
I like
Yeah.
gator. I've only
Love
had it
gator.
once, but I really liked it.
Gator's a little similar. It's a little more tough than shark, but it's kind of got that same chicken.
Yeah.
You know, just
Absolutely.
a white meat. You know, there's not a whole lot of gamey or whatever flavor to it.
Well, that's how frog legs work too.
Yeah.
Like it's a fish texture, but it tastes like nothing.
Yeah, anytime you feel free, we'll have to set up some time. You got to change our mind on shark.
Please.
Yeah.
Like,
I got to
it
get back
was-
to the ocean.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I was so incredibly grateful that they carried this piece of shark all the way from
Oh, yeah.
Texas up for us.
And it
Yeah.
ruined your
And it
fridge
was-
too.
Dude,
And see, I've brought
the
some
fucking
up too.
shark blood got all over the fridge and it seeped down in the
Oh
freezer.
yeah, it shouldn't be
dude.
bloody. There's a lot of red flags in this story that I'm hearing that I would be like, yeah, I probably wouldn't even have ate it.
We're still alive.
I don't know. They eat it left and right. I don't know.
Right.
We might have parasites. I don't know.
We should probably had them from working here anyway.
Yeah, we should probably test our poop.
Probably all got roundworm. We got the microscope. Shit on a fucking stick
do
for
it.
me. We'll float your poop.
Every shark that I've harvested, you know, I've dispatched immediately, bled out,
Really?
taking good care of it.
And what sharks are normally you eating?
So black tip.
Only
Yeah.
black tip.
What did we decipher this was? I asked him. I don't remember. It was either bull or black.
I thought you said tiger.
No.
You can't keep tiger.
Okay, that
sharks.
wasn't tiger.
I mean,
It was some ridiculous bull shark.
That's what I say. A bull or
Yeah,
a
it was
black.
bull. Yeah, it was bull. You can
I-
keep bulls, right? Oh, another question I have for you. Sorry to get off topic, but
People in Texas don't care. First of all.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's Texas.
The ocean's a whole different.
yeah,
There's DNR rules and there's local rules
Oh,
in
yeah.
the ocean. It's Wild West.
Don't
there.
touch my fish.
Right.
So I got a question about bull sharks for you for Lake Michigan. Have you ever heard, because you've known a lot of people
No.
that have
Never.
had a bull shark encounter ever in Lake Michigan? Because I knew a Coast Guard. He was my supervisor. He was a Coast Guard guy for 20 years. And he said, yeah, people said there's bull sharks in here. There's no bull sharks in here.
Physically impossible.
Thank you. Okay. Because I've heard
physically
tall
impossible.
tales like, there's bull sharks in the lake. I'm like, you can't. Like, they can do brackish water, right?
They can survive in freshwater, but Lake Michigan, I think I'm just gonna throw a random guesstimate number out there. The average temperature of Lake Michigan throughout the year is probably in the low 50s, which a bull shark would probably last 15 minutes in.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
So they like it warm.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah. So I think
Wrong state.
For
the
real.
furthest up, I just looked this up too the other day. The furthest up the Mississippi River documented bull shark was I want to say La Crosse, but then I looked it up again and it was much further south than that. It
Okay.
was down in I think Missouri
Sure.
or
that's much.
That's
maybe
believable.
southern Illinois, somewhere in there. I swear I read somewhere it was La Crosse. But so don't quote me on any of that. So they make it pretty far up. You know, they're an adventurous animal,
Sure, they're evil too.
and they can survive. But yeah, no, in Lake Michigan, no, never.
Okay.
I've found dead piranhas in Lake Michigan before,
Really?
but they're also the same thing with the bull sharks. They're gonna last about 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes in the lake. It's somebody dumping an aquarium
Yeah.
fish
Yeah.
into the lake, and I just so happened to find it floating on the beach, which was pretty cool. But
Have you ever seen, the gators thrown out there too from pets?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody that was maybe 10 years ago, caught one down in Azarians.
Really? A fucking
across
gator
from Fifth Street Yacht Club.
No way.
Yeah, a little like 3-foot gator.
So
DNR came down. They called the DNR. We're like, hey, like I just caught an alligator.
People are fucking wicked.
So years ago, that's how we got boots at the farm. Somebody found it and donated it here. They were fishing on the Root River, I think on 5 Mile over here, somewhere over here on the 5 Mile. And
I don't think that's how the story goes at all.
For boots?
Yeah, we had boots, and boots escaped the enclosure.
No.
And then, as far as I know, we got it back.
No, that wasn't. Did boots escape? I wasn't here for that.
That's when we found out. I wasn't here. That's when we found out alligators could climb.
That was the second alligator. I don't know what happened to Boots. I don't think he escaped though.
Well, what the fuck? They were all boots, gloves, purse. I don't know who the fuck was who. I guess.
When
they naming them what they're gonna be at the end.
Well, when they
one
bite
point,
you,
we had 2 small ones, a pair of gloves.
Yeah. But Boots was awesome because like after me and Jason would go fishing, we'd have like a bunch of bait, left over. It's like you want to have some fun, and he had and during the winter it was awesome because he had like a slop sink because he was such a small alligator, he was so stunted, and we'd throw him in his enclosure. In his little thing, and he would like light up like, oh, here we go, just dive in there, don't, just hitting the sides of this thing. It was hilarious. We're like, dude, this is awesome. We gotta do this more often.
That's badass.
Yeah, we'd get feeder fish from him at Petco or whatever too. Get feeder fish for him. It was so awesome.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Gator are cool, man.
They are,
they
but
really are.
I don't
That's
need
my
one.
problem when I go to Florida. Like,
you want to pet them?
Yeah. I want to touch them.
Come here, buddy.
We were fishing down in the Everglades on these little canals off Gator Alley, and I'm just fishing. I'm getting real into it, and my buddy who lives down there, he looks at me. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "You're not in Wisconsin anymore." And I looked at him like, "Yeah, clearly." He's like, you're looking a little too comfortable for being in the Everglades right now. He was like, you're 5 feet away from just endless mangroves. He said, there's things in there that aren't going to be so nice to you. You got to worry about stuff down here. It kind of gave me a little reality check of where I was,
which
really
you need
cool.
sometimes. I think
that same trip, this is 2 years ago, he had a video of I want to say it was a cougar swimming across the canal.
Oh my god!
In like the opening where it goes into the Gulf, swimming and looking into the mangroves down there. Just the fact that there's cougars and bears. They had video of black bears and stuff running around down there on the beach. Just the fact that they're living in that, where it's, to me, it looks like an impenetrable wall of tangled mess.
Not for a cougar.
And there's cougars and all kinds of stuff down there that's just like
wants to kill you.
Could pop out at any time, which you probably aren't going to see a cougar or a big cat like that. If you do, you're not going to know it. Somebody's going to find you.
It'd be pretty rare, even in like where they're prevalent. It's rare to see a cougar.
Right.
You see those videos, but
a little fun fact for you. Last week, God damn you, motherfuckers, dude.
That's my bad. That's his cat.
Normally,
he's trying to run a business over. He's trying to run a business over here, bro.
And it's a customer too.
Oh, see, he might have to
Sorry,
take
Mark.
Aw.
I'll call him back.
We talked last week about cage sizes for DNR based animals.
Wild, dude.
And that brings me to it. Bobcats aren't listed on the dangerous species for DNR.
Yeah.
Which they are like a little more of a skittish cat, but like, dude, it still tear you to fuck up. Man.
But swans are listed.
I
deal with, I have 3 house cats. I have 2 Maine Coons and a street cat. If they got angry enough, I would be terrified of my Maine Coons.
Oh, yeah.
A bobcat that's the size of a dog? I don't want anything to do with that if it's mad.
I've heard that down in Florida with their fish and wildlife, all that bullshit, you are allowed, I don't know what the season is or the license, but you're allowed to hunt for a baby bobcat and you can capture it and keep it as long as you don't kill the parents.
Huh.
Which sounds pretty fucking wild.
That's really weird.
I'd have to double check that, but somebody in Florida down there told me that. I think one of Alexa's guys.
That's kind of wild.
Florida's a wild place, though.
Like,
man.
capture it and keep like
Yeah, you
this
keep
is
the
my little
motherfucker.
buddy now?
I don't know if you have to take it to like a zoo or something, or like if you have to have a license.
Doesn't
or if
sound
you
like
can
it to
keep-
me.
I have no
Right.
idea. I have no idea. But
I'm keeping
regardless, the thought of going in and just grabbing a bobcat,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm fucking good on that.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, even finding one too, like,
Mm-hmm.
but hey, it's Florida. What do you expect?
I know a few guys here that do trapping,
Mm-hmm.
which I like critters. So trapping to me, I mean, it's been around
Long time.
forever.
Yeah.
Trappers,
it's
hunters, gatherers. Yeah.
you know, it's kind of a dying breed. I like keeping old traditions alive.
So you're
But,
torn.
I don't. Yeah, I'm very torn. Like I'm a fisherman and a hunter, so it's part of the game. But I don't like seeing pictures of them holding like bobcats and what else? Otters and stuff. I don't feel like we have enough otters
There's really not a
around
lot.
to and they can be absolute terrors for fish populations and for
Yeah.
everything. So I understand the population control, and we need trappers and all that. I'm not bashing them in any means, but it always makes me a little sad seeing those pictures.
Right.
Just the bobcats. You talking about capturing them reminded me of that. I seen a picture of him holding a bobcat not too long ago, and I'm like, that poor little kitty.
Right. Like.
But if it makes a hat out of it, I buy it.
Right.
I get it. It's all unethical, but there's a purpose behind some
Absolutely.
things,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They would charge less than $400 a hat. I'd probably have one by now. Bastards,
like-
dude.
Like they're trying to
Go to
stop
Florida.
hunting and
Right?
stuff. Hunting, since we've started hunting whitetail and all of that, the populations have increased.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I've heard it a bunch. I'd like to see the numbers to prove it, but
Yeah.
there's people been hunting as long as I've been alive and known, and quite frankly, some of the people I know pillage deer.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there are always going to be whitetail deer around, and I think it definitely helps,
My car
have
absolutely
that.
hates them. So
I think that's the biggest predator to a lot of our wildlife is cars and highways.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Hunting does nothing
No.
at all
No.
to it. It's people, the PETA people hitting a deer on their way to,
PETA people.
on the way to protest a deer hunter, and they kill a deer with their car. It's
Genius. I love it.
That's funny.
I love it.
They have
Oh.
a higher probability of killing deer than most hunters.
They
so-
do.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've been hunting for I think 6 years now. I've killed one deer. I never see them.
Been doing it about the same. I've never killed one. I've had a few opportunities.
The
but
deer that I got
smart.
wanted to die. Because I was in a tree stand, right? And I have a lever action 30-30. And I'm still getting comfortable with a loaded rifle in the stand, and it's it's a half cock safety,
Right.
which you have to roll, and it kind of scares me. Whatever. I'm about half asleep in this tree stand, and my gun's hanging on a hook. So and it's not. There's not even one in the chamber, and I hear some in the leaves, and I look down, and I'm like, holy shit! My heart starts beating, and I start to move. I go to grab my gun. And the deer looks at me directly in the fucking eye. And I had to become a man at this point because we made eye contact.
Right.
And he's looking directly at me and I'm staring downwards from him at the tree stand, just slowly cycling my weapon. Just ching, ching, ching. The deer watched me cycle my weapon and shoot him.
He's like, do it, bitch.
And
Do it. Pull the trigger.
Do I feel bad? Kinda, but
absolutely.
dude, why, like, you could have ran, man. Like, what the fuck? He
Right.
watched
Bro,
the
you had
entire
the
thing,
chance.
dude.
If a deer's that dumb,
Yeah.
that's it, man.
He tasted delicious.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good to know.
That's
good.
And that's where, like, in my hunting experience, seeing deer up close, from me to you away,
It's beautiful.
it's an animal. It's beautiful. It's you're also, to me, you're taking a life. It's something to, kind of appreciate and
Absolutely.
understand what you're doing. It's not like you hear all these stories in the bar. The guy's like, I shot this deer 12 times and and they're glorifying it.
I took my AR-15 out. He
to
wouldn't
me,
drop
like-
from the first one.
I got a real good buddy of mine. He is a great hunter, and he doesn't even take pictures of a deer that he kills. He said it's disrespectful to the animal.
Yeah,
I agree.
good point.
He said I don't even like that part of hunting. You know, it's everything, all the steps in preparation to that point that I enjoy, and that's just part of it that you have to accept.
My favorite part of it is honestly sitting out there in nature and watching the squirrels get close to me
100%.
on the tree and the bunnies hanging out and all that. And if I see a deer, cool, it's gonna taste great. Do I feel a little bad about it? Yeah, absolutely. They're fucking.
That means
beautiful.
you're not a psychopath. So
yeah, for
congratulations.
sure. But there's a purpose behind hunting, man. There's a big purpose, and I really don't understand them people that go out in a season somehow manage to get $6 and pose with all of them. Like, dude, you're fucking strange, man. Like, that's it's a living creature, dude. Were you the same person fucking pulling legs off of Daddy Longlegs when you were younger?
Yeah, well, people have done that. So some of these assholes will pose with like rhinos and shit and giraffe. Like,
Dude, game hunting is fucked.
I think the giraffe thing pisses me off the most because I know you're not eating that. There's no way.
Who was it the CEO of Jimmy John's like 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
It might have been a giraffe.
I think it was a giraffe and people lost their shit.
Dude, we shouldn't be shooting giraffe.
I still love Jimmy John's.
And I hate
I
giraffe.
fuck with Jimmy John's.
But see, here's how I feel about this though. If you were to give me a like a fully automatic rifle in a herd of zebra, I'm taking them all out.
That's because
Headshots.
you are a psychopath.
So
I hate zebra. I absolutely hate zebra. None of them. They shouldn't survive. They should
I'm
not
sure
be
they're
real.
delicious.
They're
I eat them.
beautiful.
I eat the shit out of them just so I can poop them out and feed them to other zebra.
You're just salty.
I hate zebras
I heard
so much.
there's
I don't like
a-
equine either, but they're beautiful.
No, they're not.
Zebras are gorgeous.
No, from a mile away, sure.
That's fine.
Through my scope.
I'm pretty sure
When I
heard
get my herd of
recently
zebra, you're not allowed back. Dude.
There's also a thing in going on over in Africa. Instead of big game hunting, you can go hunt poachers.
That would be fun.
Well,
Which is kind of even more extreme. I mean, it's getting a little more on the fucked up side of things.
I'm cool with it.
But yeah, absolutely. You know, I think I would feel a little less bad about that than shooting a deer. But at the same time, I mean,
I'd rather shoot a poacher than probably most animals.
Look, man, if I was held at gunpoint and I also had a gun and they were like, look, I'm going to shoot you in the head unless you either A, shoot that poacher or the rhino that he's going to shoot. I'm taking the fucking poacher
Oh,
all day
1,000%.
long. Like, I mean, we're all, you know, we all like animals more than people, but like, I don't know if I'd cry about that. I'd go hug the rhino.
Right?
Yeah,
Come here, buddy.
There's way less
So
rhinos
maybe
in the
I
world.
am a psychopath.
You know,
No.
I'm for the rhinos.
Because you're killing a murderer.
yeah, I'm
facts.
for the numbers. You know,
Right?
there's so many people. There's way less rhinos and big game than that.
Game hunting is pretty fucked up,
It's
man.
silly, and I understand the shock and awe because they made a movie about hunting people. So it's like, you know, it's there. You know, people want to
The
do
thrill
it.
of the kill.
Yeah, but you're using this huge gun from like, you know, 500 plus yards away. Dude, I'd rather just shoot a piece of steel at that distance. Like,
Right.
unless
Also, not defending the big game hunters in any way or offending them. I don't really care. A lot of those hunts.
fuck them, they're rich.
Yeah. A lot of them are high fence hunts, you know, so they're
Yeah.
farm
Oh,
raised
yeah.
fish,
Yeah.
farm raised fish, farm raised animals. You
Yeah,
know, and
which-
at that point,
Which you're also kind of a pussy.
it's kind of fucked up.
You know, you're a fucking bitch.
Yeah,
go out on a real safari where lions are hunting
Right.
you, and
Absolutely.
You know?
Like, people really used to do that shit back in the day, and they utilized the whole animal. They didn't just fucking do this in a perimeter fence and take it home.
Now,
Right.
the Ghost in the Darkness was that those two lions, right, that were killing people in Africa?
I don't recall the Ghost in the Darkness.
I think that was the movie. Neither of you guys seen it? I want to say it was Ghost in the Darkness, and these two male lions, like, teamed up, and they started just
yeah,
pillaging people,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it a
Yep.
documentary? Or...
No, it's a movie. There might be a documentary
No, it's a movie.
about.
Bitch, is it true or not?
No, it's true.
I
it
think
happened.
it was.
And
I
like,
said,
vaguely
is it
remember
a
something about
documentary?
it.
And you said, no, it's a movie.
yeah, because it's like a cinematic movie.
based on real events.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's documentaries about it because it's a wild thing. We should have brought it up.
The people that were involved are no longer here.
Probably not. This happened years ago. But
The lions got them.
to you know, yeah, so they don't matter. But like to go hunting those things, man eaters, like
Yeah, I'm good on that.
that'd be kind of fun.
So I know
I'm good.
That'd be fun.
charter captain from the area. He goes over to Africa to hunt, and he was telling me a story a couple years ago, hunting baboons.
Oh
Really?
God.
And he shot one with a bow and arrow. And he
All
said
right.
that the
You know
thing,
what? All right.
All right. I mean,
it's those things are terrifying.
oh yeah.
I
Fucking
can't.
terrifying. It grabbed the arrow out of its chest,
Shut the fuck
pulled
up.
the arrow out,
What?
and charged him. Like, fuck, like, let's go. Let's go. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones that started to join in.
I would
and-
shit myself. I'd be shit myself.
Yeah, he's got some really, I can't remember a lot of the details of it, but he's got some really crazy stories like that. But
Why
that
are we-
stood out to me.
Why are we hunting baboons?
Oh my God. Right?
Well, it's
Because he's rich.
With a bow and arrow? Like, Jesus.
so for some
dude.
of those people over there, that's all that's left for them to eat.
For real.
Oh,
and
that's
hunt.
fair. That's fair.
I mean, that's what they've come down
At
to.
the bare
which is
minimum,
fucked up.
at
You're
least he
eating
used a
many
bow.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
I got respect
know.
for the bow and arrow. I respect
Absolutely.
that. You know.
So,
Oh, yeah.
what did he get in a car, run away? Like, what the fuck? How did he escape the situation? Do you
I
remember?
mean, he's alive, so
Well,
yeah.
well,
I
right,
think he
but,
ended
like,
up. He
well,
had
you
a
didn't finish.
sidearm. He had like a 44 or something. I think he
Oh,
ended up
sure.
shooting it that
And
way. And I think the other, I want to say, don't quote me on it. I want to say the other baboons took that baboon and ran away with it.
oh, probably, yeah.
Like, no, this is our guy.
They don't
We're
leave their
taking
own.
him.
No.
Right.
That's badass.
Soldiers down.
Right.
Time to go to tourniquet. Dude, that's crazy though. Like, even okay, let's just say he's got a 44 on him. Let's just put this in perspective. You have one bow and arrow. You shoot it. This monkey says, "Not today, bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat the fuck out of you." Baboons are terrifying for
Dude,
one.
yeah.
And now you got a pissed off man.
Very pissed off.
And all you
How
have
tall are they? You know, that tall, and
Standing?
they're 1,000 times
Fangs.
stronger than you.
fangs. Oh yeah, they're gonna rip you in half.
I'd have just laid down and gave up.
Just okay. Let me just put this in perspective. Now he's got a gun, a sidearm. You say
Mhm.
that's got a limited. That's got a finite number of bullets.
Right. Imagine if
And
you had to
range.
take out
Yes,
all of
and
the
range.
baboons.
Dude, unless you got like a shotgun with a bullet this big, like you're done.
That's some Planet of the Apes shit, bro.
Yeah,
you shoot
bro.
Caesar and he pulls the fucking air out of his
Right.
fucking chest. That's crazy as hell.
Right?
I remember him telling me that story, and I wish I could remember more details about it, but I was just sitting there like, holy fuck. Like, why would you put yourself in this situation? Like, it sounds terrifying.
Adrenaline rush, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
That's crazy.
I can't. I don't. The things some rich people do, I will never fathom.
Right.
Well,
And he's a charter captain, so he's not rich
Not
by
that
any
rich,
means.
yeah.
Dude,
But
that costs some cash.
yeah,
Had to have.
yeah,
the plane ticket alone we couldn't afford.
Dude,
right,
no. And how much did he pay for the fucking baboon hunt, bro? Like,
right.
Oh yeah.
that's a fucking baboon. You know how many of them I've even seen in captivity? I can't even list it on one hand.
I don't think so. Maybe one or
I
two.
don't think people should have them in
No,
captivity.
no.
They're
No,
too
they need to stay the
ridiculous.
fuck out there. Rafiki
Right.
needs to draw and shit out there.
You
know,
want to
like-
see a baboon go
Go to Africa.
the safari?
Right. Well, like that comes up with the point, the great apes. Like, I honestly, most zoos shouldn't have that.
No, they need to be the fuck out.
I
in-
do
in-
remember.
the world.
You might hate me because I know your feelings about the Racine Zoo. But growing up, I lived like a
don't
block
hate them.
away.
He doesn't hate them, but
Yeah, okay, well, whatever. I lived a block away from there, and it used to be free. So there's this
Yeah.
little turnstile. There was a front entrance and a back entrance. As a kid, I would always go, and just go in the back entrance and, unsupervised, go walk around the zoo. I always behaved myself, and we may or may not have
Yeah,
petted the
behaved, yeah.
tigers that they had. But the orangutans were always really cool. I loved going in there and watching them.
That's my biggest problem with that zoo, man.
But
Yep.
they always did look bored.
They're cool, and they're smaller than people think. They're strong as shit, but they're only over 100 pounds.
They'll
But
stir
like,
your arm off.
my
They
absolutely.
look goofy.
My only
they're-
fucking
Yeah.
issue with them is they can't go outside, dude. Like, that
Yeah.
should be illegal to deprive an animal of sunlight
Those
for its
ones,
whole life.
back then, those ones could, I think.
Hell no, not
No.
on. It's the
'Cause
same
they
orangutan.
had the outside part. Maybe that was for the smaller
The
monkeys.
orangutan-
Because
this-
we always
yeah.
heard them. Because like I said, my
This-
grandma's house where I lived, it was a block away. We would wake up in the morning and you'd hear them just.
Well, those are the
just-
howler monkeys, and
Yeah.
I think they have howlers. They might have howlers. They have gibbons, and then
Yep.
they might have some spider monkeys
Hate
outside.
gibbons.
All in like the wire mesh outside. you know.
Yeah.
The orangutans, I'm pretty sure,
I
just
guess
have
they-
the
yeah, they
inside
were in the
access behind the
glass.
glass.
Yeah. Which is just ridiculous.
Which they're so intelligent.
Right.
Imagine to take something of utmost intelligence and just be looked at behind a glass for 30 years,
Right.
dude.
Which is
at the bare minimum, let me the fuck outside.
yeah,
Just
absolutely.
Sun.
You know, that is my biggest grief with that zoo,
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I shouldn't base my whole opinion on the zoo because of that, but I mean, it just speaks volumes.
Yeah.
right.
You know?
And like I said, I got a lot of experience and interactions with animals just because I lived so close. I had that
You got to hear
opportunity.
the lions and all that.
I had that opportunity to go there whenever I wanted. Hey, Mom, I'm gonna walk to the zoo.
Yep.
I miss
know,
those
okay.
days.
Have fun.
Up until this last summer, it was the first time I'd been there since it was free. So I mean,
Really?
last time, it was a very, very, very long time. And
Wow.
I went for my nephew's birthday, which is funny because like I have a fucking zoo, but he comes here all the time, you know. And
Right.
we were like, let's go check out the Racine Zoo. Let's go see something a little bit different. And
Yeah.
on it, like my brother paid for me to get in, and we walked the park. I don't know. It was cool, but in my opinion, Racine Zoo is better as a park property than it is a zoo. It's kind of like a park where every now and again you see an animal. Like there's
Yeah.
not too much out there. It's a lot to walk around. You know,
Right.
it's all right. It's kind of a boring facility. You know, it's one of them standard zoos. Are like, what's the animal doing? He's sleeping. You know, blah blah blah. He's way the
They're
fuck
hanging
back
out,
there. You know,
yeah.
I do like the outside of the tiger enclosures that are kind of just them. The metal wires, you know,
Yeah.
so it is open.
Right.
I do like that.
I've petted him before. My stepbrother, he was getting a little close to him.
You're probably the reason. I don't know if you ever noticed, they have hot grass in the front. There's fake grass by the windows that it's electric. You know,
Really?
so when the cats get too
Really?
close.
Yeah.
It-
And I mean, back then there was no cameras. There was no nothing.
yeah.
I mean, this was long enough ago. I remember just going there with my stepbrother at the time, and he hopped over. There's just a metal railing and then some grass or whatever, and then just those wires.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 6 inches apart. You can just and the
That's
cats. The tiger's up there
Rubbing
on it, and
Yep.
my stepbrother, he hopped over the railing and was just petting it, and I was like, "Fuck, I want to pet the kitty too."
You crazy as hell.
And
That's funny.
I did it real quick, I knew better because I was like, "No, dude, that's a big cat. Like that's a
Could have
big
been a
animal,
statistic for sure.
right?" And he's rubbing it, scratching its neck, and it's loving it.
That's
and I'm like,
fucking hilarious.
"This is insane right now."
That's so funny. I bet you go there and still get away with that shit. I bet.
Probably.
But yeah, that place is wild. I don't know. There's not a lot of facilities around here that I'm super fond of, and
Yeah.
my place isn't fucking 10 out of 10 either. And we all have our
But
issues.
a lot of it's the care.
It is,
and,
that's
and
the
the
thing.
attention you give to the animals.
Right.
It doesn't have to be some high class,
no
super fancy place to give animals great care and attention.
No, yeah, exactly. It falls onto a moral thing for me,
Right,
For sure.
right.
It's
Got a question for you about Racine Zoo. You ever fish it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, boy.
Secretly.
Busted.
that's fun.
Yeah. So the pond, the one pond's dried up now, but they used to have
The one.
the little oval one. They used to have that little bridge. There's the main pond,
Yep.
and then there's that little bridge, and then it connected to that oval pond
Yep.
that was like all wood filled and
Yep.
stuff. It's wood filled
On the
now.
other side of that bridge.
Yeah,
Yep. That
yeah,
it just
and-
like a dead end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember going there when I was little and, just really starting to get into fishing and seeing the size of the bullhead in there. And I was like, I got to catch one of these.
You ever ate one?
Yeah, bullhead are good.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember taking a spool of line and tying a hook and a sinker on it.
Just
and
with.
throwing a worm in my pocket, walking up there. Hey, Mom, I'm going to go to the zoo. Standing up on the bridge, and there's a couple families up there, and they're feeding the fish. And I'm like, can you guys leave? And I drop down my line, and instantly, a big bullhead, and hook it, and I'm trying to bring it up, and the line snapped. And I was like,
Aw.
all right, like that's enough for me. I'm gonna get in trouble. I didn't want to get in trouble. I was young enough where I didn't want to get in trouble
Sure.
for something.
But that's
like
the best
that,
time to
but-
get in trouble because you'd be like, oh, I didn't know.
Absolutely, yeah. Now I
was a
know
good
that.
I didn't know. Like trespassing, like I used to jump. I used to do dumb shit for fishing wise, like when I was
Skateboarding,
underage.
I mean,
oh,
come
skate!
on.
Oh my god. We got kicked out of a church one time, and this guy decided to open his mouth. That's for a different day, but
Yeah. I don't know if it might get shut down for that story. That'll offend some people for sure.
But there was definitely fences I jumped, definitely like private ponds I fished back in the day because I was underage. I'm not worried about it.
No.
What are you going to do? Give me a trespassing ticket? Oh, no. I'm
12.
I'm 16, 15, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know better, but I'm a juvie, man. What are you going to do? Take me to juvenile hall? Oh, no.
Oh no, my mom's gonna come get me later.
Yeah, right?
He was fishing.
No, they would let me rot. My parents, I know you're listening, Mom. You would let me rot. I already know that. Even if I was just fishing.
He fucked up. Keep him.
Yeah, right?
My mom would too.
Well, it sounds like you were kind of a menace child. So
Kinda. I know. I asked my mom about it sometime.
I will. Let's get her on the podcast.
We should. She can talk about the magic shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she did a lot of magic shows.
Get
with the
both
cats.
your parents on here. It'd be good. They both have stories. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
Absolutely.
My dad used to work here.
Fuck
Back in
yeah.
Jordan. So
Good old
that's
magic
that's
man.
why I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, 2 reasons why I'm here, right?
Well, when a mommy loves a daddy.
That's for a different day, guys. All right.
But we have a
Ladies
lot
and
of
Germans.
stuff for a different day, guys. I think this fishing charter is going to have to come to an end. We came to our limit of fish. We came to 5 salmon here.
We got to get out
Perfect.
sometime though.
Yeah.
We do. We
I gotta
absolutely
get you guys out.
We have to come out. I hope we catch a bull shark.
If we do, amazing.
We're not
Right,
soaking it in
right.
milk.
But if we catch a gar, it's going up on my wall. If I ever catch a gar, it's going on my wall. I
I'll
don't
get
care
you
what-
a gar. We'll go get a gar in another month or 2.
Good. I don't care what size it is. I'm putting it on my wall. I want a gar
I
in
got
the
spots
worst
for
way.
that.
I'll find a taxidermist. I'll do it my damn self. I don't care. I want a fucking gar on my wall.
Just don't stick your dick in its mouth.
You know, the teeth. Big teeth. Like big Julio eat teeth. You know?
Oh God.
That's a Ralph the lion reference if nobody got that.
God damn it. All right, guys. We really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate Colin coming on in,
Thanks
telling
for coming,
us.
man. Appreciate it. It's been
Absolutely.
Thank you,
fun.
guys.
It's
That's
been very
fun.
interesting hearing about fish and waters. Shit I know nothing about. If it's not a mammal, I don't know a fuck or a shit about it. So I really, really appreciate you guys coming on in. I hope this was a nice educational episode for everybody. A lot of interesting stuff. And, outside of the exotic animals we talk about, people do not understand, how much everything going on in the lake affects other
Everything. Our
animals,
drinking water,
everything,
even,
it really is wild. And, the people tend to not think about how biodiverse all the organisms in the lake are. It's not just a fucking fish in there. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
There's shrimp, by the way, in Lake Michigan now. Just so everybody knows that. I blew my mind.
Mice is shrimp, little freshwater. They're cute little guys.
fucking badass.
Did you know that?
No?
They're also invasive. I
Really?
think there's some native ones, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's
There's
wild.
jellyfish in Lake Huron too.
Really?
What?
Wow.
Freshwater jellyfish. Don't quote me on if they're in Lake Huron. That was just what a customer was saying the other day. I know there's freshwater jellyfish, and I think there's some in the UP,
Mm-hmm.
and
there's
a couple
bullshit.
of inland lakes. They're real small, but
I heard there's bull shark in Lake Michigan too, though. So
oh yeah. when you go down and enjoy our beaches, make sure you watch out for sharks.
and jellyfish now, I guess.
Fucking people. Well, point is, we appreciate you for coming on and educating people. We're definitely have Colin back here talk some more shit about the DNR and fish.
Oh yeah.
We really, really appreciate it. And without further ado,
Happy Hump Day, everybody.